Hello fellow Viking Age enthusiasts! In this video I want to give you a brief overview on the current archaeological evidence for Scandinavian Viking Age roundshields. My informations are mainly based on the interpretations by Rolf from the Society of Combat Archaeology. I'm also grateful for the input on the Gokstad shields by Vegard, who is curator at the Museum of Cultural History in Oslo, and I'm especially thankful for the support by Thomas Flasati with his extensive research and knowledge. Before we start with the Viking Age, let's have a short look on the previous periods. One out of two popular shield types was the Oblong Shield, with a rectangular and flat shield board and an horizontal grip. The shield board was spindle or dome-shaped and made of wood or of iron. The body is most often crafted from a single piece of timber, but there are also finds with joint planks. The body was most probably reinforced with a leather or hide. According to Petra Tüting and Ingo Petri from the Varus Battle Museum by Karl Griese, the oblong shields were used actively, quite similar to the Viking shields. The other shield type was the round shield, which appeared around the 3rd century in the Germanic culture. 5 to 8 planks were butted and glued together and cut into a round form. The board was reinforced with short or medium-sized grips. Wooden or iron shield bosses covered the hand, and the rim was occasionally reinforced with metal fittings. Similar to its ancestors, the Viking Age shield board was made out of 5 to 8 planks. They were made out of softwood such as pine or fir, but there's also evidence for harder woods such as spruce or oak. The size varied between 75 to 19 centimeters depending on the size of the person. The planks had a thickness of 0.9 to 0.6 centimeters at the center, but were often tapered down to the edges to a thickness of 0.6 to 0.2 centimeters. While the planks would give the shield its integral structure, the actual resistance of the shield to mechanical stress was achieved with additional layers of rawhide or leather, which were glued onto the board. Remains of leather or hide on the board were found in Gokstad in Norway, in Birka in Sweden, and in Bellater on the Isle of Man. An additional reinforcement of the shield board, and of course to handle the shield, is the shield grip, which could be either of medium length of around 40 cm or span across the whole width of the shield. There are two types of grips. One is the wooden grip, but due to its organic nature, there's only one surviving example from the Viking Age, which is the grip from Trelleborg in Denmark. Wood used for the grips was birch, poplar, alder and juniper. They were fastened to the body either by nails, which could be clipped and riveted, or by clenching the nails and hammering them back into the wood. Shown here by Roland Warzecha. Additionally, the end of the grip could be fixed to the board with copper or iron fastenings, as on this replica from authentic Viking shields. They were riveted onto the shield board, and the decoration often showed faces of animals or humans. However, the only surviving grips with such fastenings were of medium length. The second type is an iron grip, which embraced the wooden core. It was often extensively decorated with copper or silver. They were fixed to the board by implementing rivets into the decoration. These grips were found in Birka, Helge and Valsgärde in Sweden, Myklebust and Nes in Norway, and finally in Rennes and in Heidebu in Viking Age Denmark. The shield boss is covering the central hole and is thereby protecting the hand. The lower part is called the flange and its diameter is 30 to 16 centimeters. It is fastened either by rivets or by clenched nails. It carries the iron dome, which has a thickness of 3 to 5 millimeters. Between the dome and the flange was often a wall, and the dome would hang over that wall. Due to its resistance to corrosion, the iron boss is often the only piece of the shield which would survive to date. The most recent typology of bosses was done by Vegard Vike in Vikings at War from 2016. The boss was most often of plain iron with a circular flange, but there are also examples with special type of flanges such as tooths or with small semicircles. And we have examples with copper or silver sheets. Also, it can be advantageous when the opponent's blade gets stuck in one's own shield, so one can manipulate the weapon of the enemy. The shield edges have been occasionally reinforced in various ways. Perforations on the edge of shields from Gokstad and Trelleborg, as well as organic remains under a shield clamp from grave 850 in Birka, suggest a reinforcement of the edge with leather or with rawhide. One way to fix the edge is by using a stitching method through the perforations along the edge. However, according to Rolf Warming, we have done the first hand examination of the shields from Gokstad and Trelleborg. These perforations were rather concentrated to a certain section of the shield. Another way of fixing the edge would be with metal clamps. They were pushed over the edge reinforcement, most probably at overlaps of height, and riveted on the board. Such clamps were found all over Scandinavian graves, sometimes in high number with up to 50 pieces. It can be speculated that they also fulfilled decorative purposes. There is also evidence for metal reinforcement. Metal fittings were found in the graves of Tuna and Leksär in Sweden. The one in Leksär was found together with metal clamps. And according to the archaeologist Lena Thun-Macmillan, the reinforcement would fit in such a way into the clamps one would ally them at the shield edge. Finally, the shields were probably painted in various different patterns. The famous shields from Gokstad were reportedly painted completely in black or yellow. Analyses from the shields in Trelleborg show us remains of red and white paint pigments. A Viking grave found from the Belletare on the Isle of Man showed black, red and white paint remains. Potential patterns are shown to us by a handful of period art pieces. They show us spirals, crosses or circles. Now let's have a look at some of the individual archaeological sites. Let's begin with Gokstad. In 1880, a well-preserved longboat ship with a wooden burial chamber was excavated under the Gokstad Mount at Sander, Norway. Today, the ship is displayed in the Museum of Oslo. 32 roundshields were hung on the gunwale, 16 on each side, painted alternating with black and yellow color. The shields were of 94 cm in diameter and were made out of white pine. Remains of non-organic material, most probably rawhide or leather, were found on some of the planks. When they were excavated, the shields were actually still held together by the iron boss and the wooden grips, which were riveted onto the shield bodies. The grips nearly spanned the whole width of the shields, and as I already mentioned, perforations at the edges suggested a reinforcement. Sadly, the conservatory techniques and knowledge were not on the same level as today, and most of the shield parts are deteriorated. The 4 reconstructed shields you can see today are actually puzzles of the 32 original shields. Birka was an important trading center in eastern mid-Sweden from approximately 750 to 975. The city was located on the island Borge in the Mälar Lake, which was in the Viking period a bay of the Baltic Sea. The town of Birka was surrounded by a fortress on the hill, here in green, and large cemeteries indicated as blue dots. Nearly 30 individual remains of shields were found in graves, in the black earth where the town was located, and in the halls of the fortress. Among the finds were various shield clamps, iron grips, grip fastenings, and shield bosses. However, no intact shield board has survived. To be mentioned here is the grave 736 with 2 shield remains, including well-preserved iron handles, as you can see here on that replica of Kimhjada. There were also 54 and 20 iron clamps, which were still in the positions in which they were fixed on the edge. 54 clamps could not cover the whole edge as suggested in an early reconstruction of the archaeologist Arbman, but would still be quite an impressive decoration. Besides the nicely decorated boss in grave 850, there were also organic remainings found between a metallic shield clamp. According to a recent study from Rolf the shield board made out of firewood was reinforced with tanned sheepskin. The edge was reinforced with tanned cattle skin, which was most probably fixed with the metal clamps. Last but not least, we have a very interesting find at the Trelleborg, which lay westwards from Slagelse on the island of Sealand. Trelleborg was a Viking period ring fortress which was built around 980. In 2008, a well-preserved remain of a round shield was found in the ground around 40 meters away from the southern gate. The boss of the shield is missing, and it was probably teared away with parts of the planks around the center hole. It is also probably the reason why it was discarded in the first place. To summarize, if you want to craft your own replica, you should take care of the following points. Your shield body should be made out of 5 to 8 planks from pine, cedar, spruce or oak, and glue them together. The body should be reinforced with either raw or tanned hide, which should also be glued onto the planks. You can find more detailed instructions in the videos of Roland Warzecha and ThegnThrand, linked in the video description below. An iron boss, fitting to one of the 6 types, should cover the central hole and thereby the hand. Use a medium or long-sized grip, most popular was most probably wood. If you want a prestige shield, use iron grips with copper or silver decoration. The boss and the grip can be fastened by rivets or with clenched nails. The end of the grip can be fixed with decorative copper fastenings, especially in connection with a medium-sized grip. The edge should also be reinforced with raw or tanned hide. It can be fixed by stitching or with clamps. Finally, you can paint your shield with colorful patterns. Popular seem to be black, red and white color. Possible patterns can be spiral, cross or circle shaped. This is the end of my small excursion to the world of Viking Age Scandinavian round shields. I really hope you enjoyed it and learned something, and I will see you in one of my next videos.